Good evening, Yarnies. I almost forgot the name of my followers. Forgot the name that we gave everybody. How is everybody tonight? Let me I always have to adjust this volume level because it seems a little loud for me, and if it's loud for me, it's probably loud for everyone else. Okay, let's everything is set up the way it's supposed to be. Alrighty. I think we're gonna get right into it tonight. We've got 2 weeks worth of temperature blankets to catch up on. So this might be a little bit of a longer extended stream tonight. After I'm done the temperature blanket, I think I'm going to do more carding. I think that's kind of the go-to thing that I'm going to be doing for a while. Is card up a whole bunch of scraps when we get to the end of our plan for the stream. So like I said, we didn't have a stream last Sunday. So no temperature blanket has been worked on in 2 weeks. So that's what we're going to do tonight. Before stream, I had to go record all of my temperatures because I hadn't been doing that. But that's all right. Oh, I got to change my lighting. Okay. So tonight we're only using orange and yellow because the past 2 weeks the highs have only been in the 70s and the 80s. So we're going to switch back and forth between those two colors. And I've got plenty of both. And that should not say butterfly square. That should say temperature blanket. I had the wrong source chosen. Didn't want to confuse everybody. Butterfly squares for Tuesday. I hope everybody has been enjoying Granny Month so far. I've been loving it, how each square is different from the next. Let me zoom out a little bit. We don't need to be as detailed with temperature blanket as we do have with the other square, since I'm not really giving instruction with this. Like I said, Tuesday is our butterfly square, Thursday is the large butterfly square, and then Saturday is our dragonfly square. This week is all of our insects and, well, more wildlife, I should say, for this week and next week. Because next week we've got a ladybug. That's an insect. And then next Thursday we've got a snail. That's technically not an insect. And then the following Saturday, July 1st, is a bonus surprise stitch that ties into the garden. And that will round out our month of grannies. And I'm looking forward to July with what we have in store here on the channel. We're gonna do a little variation on your typical crochet. We're still going to use yarn. We're still going to use worsted weight yarn for most of it. Well, actually, for about half of it, I would say. We've got filet crochet coming up in July, which those of you who don't know what filet crochet is, it's more of a, I don't know how to explain it. It is a grid type look to it, and you can do all different types of patterns in that grid. It's the stitch that you make is essentially this double crochets and some chains. That's pretty much all you really use, but it's how you put them together and you form patterns and pictures, and you can do lettering with it. But it's going to be very open and lacy in some parts and not so much in others. So that's filet crochet. We're going to do some mosaic crochet, which has a lot of geometric, a lot of geometric designs in it. Instead of just rows back and forth, they use certain stitches to create geometric designs. A few months ago, we did the, if anybody remembers, and if not, you can always go back on the YouTube channel and look up, Hey There Lady. It's a lot of yellow in the last few weeks. Yeah, that was most of May and the beginning. Yeah, most of May. It was in the 70s most of that month. Right now the row I'm working on currently is on June 4th. So it was like I was saying with mosaic. A few months ago, we did the Apache Tears stitch, which is in the family of mosaic crochet. So we'll probably touch on that stitch again, and then I'm going to find a couple other stitches that are common in mosaic. A lot of color work is done with mosaic to create these interesting geometric patterns that you wouldn't even think that they were crochet. And what else we have? Oh, we've also got t-shirt yarn coming up in July. If anybody has an old t-shirt that they don't wear anymore and has seen better days, not one that's full of holes, because it's not really going to be useful if it's that too far gone, but if it's showing some wear, instead of throwing that into the landfill, we can reuse it. And I will show how to make t-shirt yarn, and then we are going to crochet with it. You can do other stuff with t-shirt yarn just like you can do with regular yarn. You can knit with it, you can weave with it, you can do other types of projects. But we will do some t-shirt yarn. We're also going to have some beaded crochet, where we're going to add some beadwork to our normal crochet. I don't know if I have any large enough beads to work with worsted weight yarn. So when I do the beaded crochet, I will probably use some thinner weight yarn. I'll get out the magnifying glass. That's set up so y'all can see what I'm doing. We'll do beaded crochet in flat panels. That would be a really good technique to use if you want to, pretty much anything, but especially if you want to do like a beaded purse. You can always add beads afterwards to anything, but I'll show you how to incorporate the beads as you're crocheting. Well, you got to add them onto the yarn first before you crochet. I will also show how to do beaded crochet jewelry. And also in July is when we're starting our Throwback Thursdays with our vintage patterns. Got a couple things already prepared. Well, planned, I should say. And then On 2 of those Thursdays in July, Grammy is going to be picking out the vintage patterns that we're going to be using. I have no idea. I haven't even seen them. Wouldn't have a clue. And there's going to be edgings. Edgings for tablecloths, napkins, handkerchiefs. I mean, if you make them, well, depending on the size of yarn, they could be edges for blankets, depending on the edge. And they're all vintage. That's pretty much what's in store for July. And I'm getting near the end of this little bit of yellow, but I'm going to have to join more yellow in a little bit. In addition, oh, snagging the yarn. In addition to everything that's coming up in July, starting sometime in August on the Discord, in the video and voice channel of the Discord, probably maybe once, maybe twice a week, we will have a little Discord party in there, and I will show how to do the floral granny squares from the Secret Yarnery's Crochet Along. She's got, well, she hasn't finished the series yet. She's got, I think, 2 more squares to finish. But, if you want really 3D, what's the word? Somewhat realistic looking flowers. Oh, I'm at the end of my, literally at the end of my rope. Let's go back a few stitches. So if you want to see some somewhat realistic crocheted flower squares, join the Discord and pop in. I will, as it gets closer to that, I will update what day and what time we will be doing it. And do one more stitch here. Oh, I gotta cut this knot. There's a knot at the end of this. I'm also thinking, in addition to carding at the end of streams, if I've not, if I got some extra time on any given stream, possibly one stream here and there, I might break out the spinning wheel and you can all watch me fail or try not to fail at spinning some yarn. I am no expert in it. Definitely not an expert. We're nearing the end of this row. And this blanket is warm. It's not laying on my lap, thank goodness. I would be sweating. But it is up against my arms and my chest, and I'm feeling the heat. But I don't want to get too far behind on this and come late December, early January, and still have about a couple months left to do. I want to get this done roughly on time. Or probably finish it, whatever that First Sunday is in January, because again, we're always doing it a week after we have to record the temps. And when it is finished, I will lay it all out and try to get a picture of the whole thing, of all the work that I've done all year long. But that's well in advance. That's not in advance. That's well into the future. That's not until January. But also in January, once this is done, I will be working. Will start my long-term project for next year. But we're not there yet. Get another row of yellow, and we will switch to orange in a second. Well, after this row. Okay, we need to flip because it's in my way and it's getting a little too warm, and I need a drink. And this is a brand new cake, so plenty of yarn. Plus, I got a brand new cake of orange and a little bit of orange from when we left off here. So we got that to use up first before we break out the new cake. It's a slightly different color orange, but that's all right. My goal is to have this to be a scrappy look to it, so every color doesn't have to be the same shade. And there's where I joined. I was crocheting over my tail so I don't have to weave them in at the end. I just got to make certain I put the stitch in the right spot. It's a little bulky there. That's a weird. Oh, okay. Got to make certain it's where the yarn kind of joined. It was throwing me off. What? No, it really is throwing me off. Rip out a few stitches. There we go. I just got to line it up with the orange row. So what is everybody working on? Whenever I'm done dinner, I want to get back to working on either my sweater or blanket. Nice. Melissa Pennant says Afghan sample, a cat blanket. Oh, sweet. I know Lady 1241 is in the Discord. Hey there, Grammy. Star Stitch blanket for Project Linus. Yeah, Grammy's working on a really cool, pretty looking blanket um, with the star stitch, and I really like it. I like the color she chose. If anybody is is a member of the Discord, if you want, feel free to upload a picture of whatever you're working on. It doesn't have to be finished. That's why we get this. The section is called Whips and Foes. Calling all your samples cat blankets now. Okay. Well, we actually saw the sneak peek the past couple of streams. So this is my sample for Tuesday night. I don't have a cat, but can I call that a cat blanket for a little tiny cat? Well, I was uncertain of the colors and stripes of the Afghan, so this is the way to go. Yeah, I've done that before. Do a little, not necessarily a gauge. Maybe I know what gauge I need to use, but do a little sample of how the colors are going to work together. I always say this: crochet is not permanent. You can always frog it out and redo it. It's just yarn. Some yarn is easier to frog than others, obviously. Corner to corner, I hooked denim and navy. Oh, nice. Um, Clay Miko, if she was around, she would like that. She likes a lot of the denim look. And in about a minute or so, we're going to have an ad break. I've only ever done samples of corner to corner. I've never made a corner to corner project, which is something I probably should do. The whole thing is just very repetitive. I will be right back after these commercials. And thank you for watching those ads. It really helps a lot. And Melissa says she posted something in the Discord. Let me bring this. Oh, come on. Come on. There we go. Oh, that's not it. That's the wrong. Got to get the right monitor to go. There we go. See if we can make this larger. Bear with me. Just gotta. Oh, I like those colors a lot. Very nice work. All right, now let's see if I can minimize this down again and move it out of the way. And let me check this. Alrighty. Yeah, those colors work really good together. And especially in the corner to corner. Hiding ends now and contemplating a border. Sometimes that could be the hardest part, is trying to come up with a border of either what color to do or what type of border. And I need to pull more out of the center of my cake. Almost done this row, and then we're going to switch colors to orange. Hey there, Fairy Dust. I'm good. How are you? Just working on the temperature blanket. Well, I did 6 stripes denim and 2 stripes navy. Um, maybe navy for the border. Just so it's, because you've got more of the denim, just so it's a little more balanced, so it's not too much denim in there. Just a suggestion. Now, I don't know what type of border you would do, like what stitch. Or relaxing before bed. That's always good to do. I'm almost to the end of this row. And then we got 1 row of orange and then back to yellow. Something like double crochet all the way around. That will work. Let me get my orange. And since this is in a hand wound ball, I'm going to use my yarn bowl for it. Just so I don't not chasing it all over the place. Get my snips. Cut that. But the yellow can't go too far because I'm going to need it real soon. Tighten up the stitch. Why was I wrapping it for a double crochet when there's no double crochets in this entire blanket? I do that sometimes. going along, and my brain was like, let's try a different stitch. No. Oh yeah, and this orange yarn here is a little bit thinner, slightly thinner than this yellow, and it messes up my tension a little bit because it's slightly off. Oh, I need to mark off those 2 rows that I've done already, just so I'm on track. Then I got to save my file, because if not, those changes won't be saved. Okay. My left arm is getting very warm from resting on this blanket. Oh, earlier I was talking about things that are I do that when switching between whips. I will start doing the wrong stitch in the wrong whip. Yep. And that's probably part of it, is a lot of the stitches I've been doing in the squares for Granny Month have used a lot of double crochets, and I think my brain was still in that mode, even though it was yesterday is when I worked on something that had a double crochet. It's just still in that mode. Now I was saying earlier, I was mentioning the things that were upcoming in July. The one thing I forgot to mention is on the 16th of July, it's a Sunday, there will be no temperature blanket. I'm going to be doing planning to do my marathon stream on that day, starting at 10 a.m. Eastern. You heard me correctly, at 10 a.m. and going until whenever. And I'll be working on a blanket that will be donated to Project Linus. That will be an interesting day. As it gets closer to it, I need to pull up the pattern again. I've already picked up the pattern. I just need to pull it up and just review it a little bit. It's actually, while I'm here, let me I think it's in here. If I can find it. There we go. No, that's not it. I think it's called this one here. Why is that not coming up? Okay. Yeah, I think I'm going to be doing the Endlessly Elegant Blanket. Where's this from? I think the designer's name is the Crochet Wench. I don't know if it's on YouTube. Maybe this was on Ravelry. I'm not certain. But I will show you what it looks like. I'm not going to be doing it in a gradual tones like that. It's all going to be one solid. color, but it looks like it's got a pretty basic repeat for the most part. So that is what is going to be coming up for the marathon stream in mid-July. Let me check this. I need to close that out because it's covering everything else up. Yeah, it is very gorgeous. Just the stitch work alone, I'm like, and then whatever yarn you decide to use with it. Yeah, I'm not going to be changing yarn. I'm not going to use a yarn that is a gradient. And it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a challenge, not just basic stitches over and over, which there's nothing wrong with that. I want a little bit of a challenge. And again, the marathon was to celebrate me getting 100 followers, which I'm now up to 157. So, a little late. Like I said, life got in the way. And this orange yarn is not pulling through my fingers the way I would like it to, even with having plenty of slack on it, it's still, I think well, it's not a Karen Simply Soft, but it's almost that thickness, so it's a light weight of 4. Oh, I need to move this over so everybody can see what I'm doing. I'm kind of off screen. Not that I'm giving instruction, it's just you tune in to see, you would kind of want to see what's on stream. I almost treat Karen Simply Soft as a weight of 3. Yep, me too. Mainly because it doesn't have a lot of loftiness that other worsted weight yarns have. My problem is with Karen Simply Soft, it splits a lot. I like the look and the feel of like how silky it is, but it tends to split on me. And I say that as I'm splitting a couple of these strands. Really need to get a lot of slack out, because this yarn also works up a little on the quick side. I love the feel of it. Sometimes in the skein, there will be a thick, fuzzy bit where it seemed the yarn wasn't wound. Yep. That happens a lot with that. And that can happen with any mass-produced yarn. But since it's so slick, and I don't want to say it's Karen Simply Soft isn't twisted tight enough, because it does have twist to it, but it's also the way the fibers are. But yeah, I've encountered that where there'll be a thick irregular area in it, which sometimes I'm like, okay, ignore it, and I just continue with it. But a lot of times I'll just stop and have to cut it out and then rejoin. It's not as bad as crocheting with Lion Brand homespun. I love the look and the feel of homespun, but it's got there's like a thin monofilament, almost like a monofilament line that's twisting, that's holding it together, and I always snag it. Even with a bigger hook, always snag that line, that thin line that's twisting it. Am I near the end of this row yet? Almost. Then back to yellow. Which I'm okay with the yellow, because again, yellow means it was the high in the 70s, and I'm okay with those temps. I don't think anything would be worse experience for me the time I tried roving yarn. Oh, you don't like roving yarn? I love roving yarn. Like the shawls that I was making a while back, that was all roving yarn. They were Red Heart, Unforgettable, and then Loops and Threads Facets. But I can understand how people would have an issue with it, because there's very little twist in it, if any, in a roving yarn. But I just like how silky it feels. And I like the way it works up. It's soft and light, but God help you if you... Oh, yeah. Oh. If you know how, if you've seen me when I was working on the shawls a while ago, how often I had to frog it. And it was a pain. I think I took ombre back to the craft store. Isn't ombre a Red Heart line? I know they have an ombre Red Heart. Or is it a different line? Is it a different... But I think ombre Red Heart's a worsted weight. I could be wrong. Unless you're referencing another line that's also named ombre. Okay, I'm at the end of the row. I gotta switch back to yellow. Think so, but it was a mess for me to try to work with. No, it was Red Heart. Okay. You had a corner to corner going on. Okay, gotcha. I know, and she hasn't been in here in a while. Crojo Mojo. I know a while ago she was working on a corner to corner blanket, and I don't remember the colors. They were both Red Heart brand, and they weren't ombre, but they were like a color change yarn. Maybe they might have been ombre. I know one of them was called Parrot, and the other one was some. I don't know what the other one was called. Um, but they were bright, vibrant colors, and she was doing corner to corner, and it looked amazing. I think Lion Brand Mandala had also some labeled as ombre. Yeah, I think they do too. I've never used Lion Brand Mandala before. I've seen it. I've never used it before. Any of the mandala, because I know they have all different varieties of it. Same thing. I've never used any of the Karen cakes. I don't. Not that I know of. Oh, I know what I need to do, and maybe people in my stream could help come up with ideas. I'll have to pull it out here soon. I bought that big cake of alpaca and acrylic blend yarn. I gotta find something to do with it. I was gonna say mandala kind of feels like Karen cakes. Hmm. I know Claymiko has used the latte cakes and the cinnamon swirls. Let me get that. Trying to do that without falling over. I think I pulled a muscle in my side. That's not good. um, I'm gonna need suggestions on what I could use this for. It is 80% acrylic and 20% alpaca. It's a weight of 2, so it's a fine yarn. I don't know, can't find the center of it. Latte cakes are more fuzzy, like eyelash art. Oh, really? So I'm gonna have to find something to make with this, and it's how many yards or feet or whatever they call it. Uh, just under 1,028 yards or 940 meters. So, if anybody has any ideas or suggestions, I bought it because it's super soft and it's pretty, and don't know what I'm going to do with it yet. Plus, I got a bunch of other yarn that's like that too. And on that note, we're probably going to we're going to be having, not probably, we are going to be having an ad coming up. A rectangular wrap, yeah, that could work. And I only have one cake of that, so it's not like I have more. But you can get a lot out of that because that's, like I said, it's a fine weight. It's a weight of 2, so it's definitely a thin yarn. And I would go down a couple sizes and hooks, obviously. Well, I will be right back after these ads. It's that time again. Let me click on the right thing this time. I'll be back. Whoops. And welcome back, everybody. Again, thank you for sitting through those ads. as I'm over here rustling with this blanket. Feels like all I'm doing is pulling yarn out of this cake constantly. Come on. Nearing the end of this row. Get to the end of this row, I'm going to mark off those 2 rows. Really need to weave in my ends on this because it's been a while since I've done that. Let's check off these 2. Save my file. We're good. Still continuing with the yellow. We got 2 more rows before we change again. How many stitches per row? I gotta remember. Um, I think it's total of 400, but it's every other stitch. So when I count the 400, I'm including the chain stitches. So there should be 200 singles and 200 chains per row, if I remember correctly. You're asking me to go back to begin to January 1st. Essentially, this is going to be about a queen size blanket, roughly. What, approximately 80 inches wide by 120 long, roughly. And there's a good likelihood that when I started, I might have missed or skipped or somehow decreased the first couple rows. So it might be a little shorter, narrower than that. Need to find a use for variegated yarn that has very long runs for each color. Every time I've tried, ends up the same color pulling on one side instead of more evenly distributed throughout. Yeah, it could be difficult finding the right stitch with a variegated yarn, so you don't have that. The scarf I finished recently at 305 stitches per row. Felt like it took for so your your rows go up it like vertically. Yeah, I've done scarves like that before, and yeah, they feel like they are going to take forever. Do a corner to corner stripes. I love the variegated with 2 solids. Yeah, I know Grammy's done at least one corner to corner, but I don't think she's used the variegated. Yeah, I could be wrong. Feels like this blanket is taking over. Color pulling looks awesome. I just don't know how if I want to think that hard in preparation for a project. Yeah, but I think what she's meaning is she's not purposely doing color pulling to do that Argyle look. That when she uses it up in whatever pattern, that stitch pattern that she's doing, one side is heavily weighted with one color, and so the colors aren't going evenly throughout. You get more, it looks more blotchy, and I don't think she likes, that's not the look that she was hoping for. You have another corner to another, let me check here. Yeah, there's Grammy's, actually, let me share it on here. Here is Grammy's star stitch blanket that she's doing for Project Linus, which I really love that stitch. And I like the color she's used. And then Melissa has posted, this is corner to corner variegated with stripes. And then another one. Oh, I really like the blue and white one. Very nice. But yeah, trying to find, I mean, corner to corner would work, but trying to find any other types of patterns and stitch patterns, they all don't really, depending on the variegation, some look better than others. That is a tricky thing. Struggling with this blanket. Okay. Do a basket weave stitch. Oh, that's a possibility. Yeah, maybe a basket weave or I mean, I don't know how it would work. I was thinking maybe a waffle stitch, but I don't know if that would um if you would end up having the same issue. You might have the same issue. But yeah, try the basket weave. I don't know if any of the online tools like Ravelry or any of the other sites have a tool where you can put in the name or color of a yarn and it would give suggested patterns. Another pick in the whips. Aww. Let me make that larger. Well, we know somebody that likes your crochet work. Yeah, I could definitely see that. Is that the basket weave? Looks like the basket weave. I've gone corner to corner with the long run variegated, but it's still pulled. End up having to cut yarn, pull off excess of one color, and rejoin it. It was a pain. That's Oscar. Aw. Well, hi, Oscar. I used to have a black cat many years ago. But yeah, if there was and again, I don't know if it exists, if there's like a website that will, that you can kind of put in the yarn that you're using, and if it would recommend certain stitches. Hey there, Claymiko, how are you? Were your ears burning? Because a little while ago, I mentioned your name. Um, Melissa here in the chat mentioned that she's working on an Afghan that's got navy and denim in it. She posted it in the Discord, and I mentioned that you're a fan of denim. I think it's a corner to corner. You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. I know I'm sweating. That's what I get for deciding to work on a temperature blanket when it's the summertime, or almost the summertime. Yeah, I love all the pictures that everybody's been posting in there. Everyone's very talented. And the color combinations that people come up with things, I'm just loving them. But before you came in, we were talking, and Grammy is trying to find a stitch pattern that will work with a variegated yarn with a long color repeat. Because everything that she has, what she's been trying with it, it ends up pretty much the colors, the way it works up, you'll have one color all in one area. I was about to message you to see if you wanted to hang out tonight. Then I remembered you were streaming. I was like, never mind. Maybe after my stream if you're available. If not, that's cool too. I was going to message you at some point. I'll probably still do it later about getting your advice on something, but we'll talk about that later. It's something for the stream. We'll see how tired I am. No, I get it. I totally get it. Yeah, Grammy's here. And again, and I should have asked this before, but at any time, if the music here is a little too loud, let me know. I can adjust it. I liked having the music because it's kind of nice in the background. But if it gets to be too loud and too much, and that goes for anybody, it doesn't have to be just my mods or my usual followers. It can be anybody. Obviously, when I'm live, I mean, if you're watching this on the YouTube, I can't go back and change it. Hello? Are we British now? Hello, governor? Not that all British people say that, I know. I've decided that I'm going to finish this week, the week that I'm on now. So when I finish this row, I get 2 more rows, a row of yellow and a row of orange. And I'm going to put this to the side for a bit. My hands are like getting clammy and disgusting. Not that y'all need to know that, but it being so warm. Not that it's hot in here. I mean, the fans are going, the AC is on, but a little toasty. And then I will transfer over to do a bit of carding, and then we'll see if we're going to go back to the temperature blanket tonight. If not, I could do it off stream or do it next week. I'm going to need a little bit of a break from this, but we will do 2 more rows. Let me mark this one off right now. You know what? We're going to put it all to the side for right now. My hands are just getting very clammy, and I don't like it. So we're going to switch gears for a second. And let's pull this up, and we're not doing the butterfly square. Oh, we need to make that a little bit smaller. It's taking over everything. And we are going to remove that. Then back to something that's a little less warm. What I was working on last night, I left it on the combs. Almost ready to take it off the combs. I mean cards. These are cards, not combs. And actually, I did that wrong, but that's fine. Oh, you haven't been here when I've shown my cards. I think I told you about them. Yeah, you haven't seen this. Okay. So, went on Amazon and bought these small, they were sold as wool cards. They're technically pet brushes, but they do the same job as an actual card. Wool cards usually are much bigger. I can't zoom out anymore. They're roughly that wide or so, maybe not quite a foot. And then you use it to open up the fibers of your wool or whatever it is. But to learn the process, I'm using scraps of acrylic, and I'm opening them up, and then will turn them into fluff. This is all acrylic yarn from all the projects I've done on stream. And then I will take that and I can spin it into new yarn. And I'll demonstrate that when we come back from ad. I will be right back. All right. Again, thanks everybody for sitting through the ad break. All right. So I'll show how to do this again. By no means am I an expert in this. But if these were regular, actual hand cards or wool cards, they'd be a little bit bigger. And they've got these metal teeth on it. And the purpose of it is to open up the fibers so then you can spin from it. Because if you got a sheep and you take the wool right off the sheep, you really can't spin right from it. So after you've sheared it, and if you've washed the wool, then you have to process it so you can open up the fibers you can spin. So I'm doing the similar idea, but I'm not using wool. I'm using acrylic yarn, any of my scraps from what I've done on stream, and I need to open up these fibers. And if you look at yarn, they've got a twist to it. I'm going to untwist it and separate those plies that make up one strand of yarn. So if you look at one strand of yarn, depending on the yarn, there's multiple strands. Let me show right here so that it'll unravel. But sitting here and unraveling it by hand would take forever. So I'm taking small bits. You don't want anything real small because you're going to get something called neps. They're going to be too small to open and you're going to have some problems with it. And you just take it and you drag it across your card and it's starting to fray and open. And you'll get some bits in your card. And I showed this the other night on stream. Again, I'm just learning the process. And I'm not wasting any little bit that I had. See how much that's opened? It's not fully opened yet, but it's getting there. Also with this, I get to choose which colors are going to go into my yarn that I'll spin eventually. Need to take a smaller clump because it's not really opening up the way I want it to. You just want to keep moving it from front and back. These cards were inexpensive on Amazon. Again, they're much smaller than actual cards. It's getting mostly opened up at that end. The pink one isn't really opened. It's going to take a little extra effort with that one. And then once you do all of that, get it well, I'm going to take the pink one out because that's not really working for me. When you get it open, I'm going to take some of these strands out too. And then you flip it over and you do the same thing to the other end. And I'm holding pretty tight on it. And that's mostly opened up. The blue one needs to be opened up a little bit more. Okay, we're good now. Then you can take this and drag it across and don't hold it as tight and have the fibers come out and stick into the card. And I can put the color wherever I want. If I want more of the white over there, put some white. Let's put some blue here. I'm going to actually get some blue in there. There. Getting a little bit in there. And once I do it, and each time I'm gradually taking more of it out of the clump that's in my hand. You saw that that was all yarn. That was all little bits of yarn. That blue one could have been opened up a little bit more, but get it all in there. And then you take your other card and you lightly graze across the top. You don't want to smash it down in there. And the action of it, you're going to hold this one steady, and the other one grazing across it is going to open up the fibers even more. You do a bit of a rocking motion too. Also, the teeth on here are a little bit domed because they're pet brushes. Cards usually aren't going to be as domed, so it's a little bit different. You can card this multiple times, and most of the fiber staying in that card, very little in this. Because if I would have dug down more into it, I would have got a bunch in here. We're trying to open up these fibers. Got a little bit more on there. I think I dug down a little too much. And this edge here, I'm getting a nep. So that's too small to do anything. That's not really, well, it might open a little bit, but probably not. So I'm gonna get rid of that, and this little bit of this blue and this green. Just card, card, card. Then once you've carded enough, you could take your card and you angle it like that, and you flick it off, and it comes off onto here, and then you can take it off of here. If it was a bigger card, it would work better, and you'd be able to roll this up. Again, it's being so narrow. You would roll it up, and you would make a roll lag. I'm going to have to card this more, but if it was carded all the way, you've got this roll, and then you can spin right from that. So I'm going to end up carding this again. There's some things that didn't really open up all the way. So I'm going to take the fluff and put it back into my card. And this time it goes a lot easier because the fibers have been opened than if it was straight yarn. And if I wanted to add some other colors to this, some of the stuff that I've already carded, like some of this black. Let me get this black color. Take some of that and add it in here. So I can customize my own colors. They also have a tool. You could make them, and I mentioned this on the stream the other day. They have a tool, but you can buy or you can make. It's called a blending board. It's roughly the size of a piece of paper, roughly. And it's on a, I get fuzz in my nose. That's going to happen. The whole thing is pretty much the carding cloth, which is all of the, it's usually like a rubberized material now. It used to be leather back in the day. But it's got all these metal teeth on it that are just like this. And you put the colors wherever you want. And you can add extra stuff to it. They have some man-made fibers that you can add to actual wool. Some sparkly stuff called, there's one called Stellina. Forgot the names of some of the other ones. And then you would take a brush or a card like this and card it on the blending board. And once you've opened it all the way up, you could take it off. And I know Citric for Blue was in here the other night. Angelina and Firestar, that's it. Thank you. And what you can do is you could take like 2 knitting needles, and I could do this on here too. You can roll them off with a pencil or a knitting needle or something, and to help make your roll lag, and then you can make your custom color yarn. But what I'm doing, and I probably dig too deep with that, I'm just using my scraps from what I've done here on stream. It's inexpensive. It's actually free. All I had to do was buy the cards. And then I've got a bunch of fluff. Yes, this is acrylic, but it would work the same way if you were using other fibers. Can't find my crochet hook. No working on the blanket or the sweater. Oh no! That's not good that we can't find the hook. Sorry to hear that. I've lost hooks before. Not a fun feeling. Especially if I'm in the mood to crochet. So then you keep opening it up. And then I'm going to take it off. And then I don't have another knitting needle close at hand. But I'm just going to do it by hand and take it off of the card. And then you could see, originally I had like the whites and the greens and the blues, and then I've got the blacks in there. I'm going to try to form this into somewhat of a roll-ag. Again, if the card was bigger, you'd be able to roll it up a little bit more. And then, like I said, you can spin right from that. I have a bag where I keep my hooks and needles. The bag was zip closed. Hopefully it'll turn up for you. So this was the bundle. When I first started that, I took some of it out because it was a little much. So I'm still using the rest of that bundle. Too bad there isn't a crochet response unit that can be called in the middle of the night for the evening to bring you a new hook and new needle. Yeah. You know you've got those late night crochet cravings. You've got to have your crochet hook. Considering I don't keep multiple hooks in the same size. Yeah. Did you check like down in like a seat, like a cushion of a sofa or a chair? Sometimes they like to wander off. Well, what I'm going to do with this, it's all different colors in there, and I'm probably going to spin. There's not enough to spin a lot of yarn from each roll-ag. I'm just going to pull these at random when I do spin, and we're going to get a wild looking yarn. We're going to get what we get. I don't know what I'm going to make from it. Also, my electric crochet hook. Now that'd be a thing if they if they invent an electric crochet hook. My dad was sitting on the couch next to it, and Lord help me if I bother him on the national holiday of Father's Day, where we must treat him like an otherworldly being. Ah, gotcha. I haven't worked on the socks in about a month and a half. I still have to figure out how I'm gonna adjust it to fit my foot. Still in a holding pattern from there because I gotta end up frogging a couple rows, like the heel turn rows, so then I can make it longer to fit my foot and then redo the heel. So we're not there yet. But like I was saying, your laugh tells me you understand exactly what the problem is. Yeah, I mean, I don't have that issue with my stepfather, but I know people that are like that. My electric spinning wheel, it just the way it is. I think it's a Nano 1 or 2. I can't remember which one it is. It's better to spin more finer yarn, and that's what I've done. I've the little bit that I have spun has been acrylic and it's been finer. So I think this will work with what we have here. But that's for a later day. And hey there, Anna. Yeah, I was gonna end up doing the entire stream. I got about 5 rows done, and it's a little warm, and my hands were sweating. Um, all I did was add, what was it, 4 rows of yellow and 1 row of orange. So you didn't really miss much. We've just been sitting here chit chatting a lot, and I'm carding again. I'll come back to it. I don't know if I'm going to come back to it tonight on stream, but at another time, maybe off stream, I'll do some of it because I do have a little over a week to catch up on. And it's not like I'm showing how to do it, I'm just doing it. So it's not like I have to do it on stream. I would like to do it on stream, but it being as warm as it is, I want to pull some of this out because it's not really getting combed. That's a piece that we don't want. But I had mentioned on stream before with these cards, if they were traditional cards, historically, it was common for a job for the children to do was to card because it wasn't as precise and technical. And we're talking like 16, 17, 1800s, maybe even before that. Look it off. Now I'm gonna, yep, um, there we go. And kind of roll it off. It's not perfect, but I'm learning. So it's kind of rolled up, and could have been carded a little better. But now got a little, looks like a little cigar. That's a Rolag. Alrighty. Some of these pieces are too short. Like I've got a long strand here, I'll cut it up into smaller sections because you can't really card it when it's that long. And also, it's going to be unwieldy. So I need it to be more manageable lengths. And again, for what I'm doing here, I'm only keeping all of this acrylic. I'm keeping the cotton scraps separate. I mean, there are blended yarns that will incorporate different fibers, but I just want to keep this all acrylic. Seeing how I'm a novice spinner and I don't want to get too advanced and set myself up for a lot of failure. Picking through here to make certain I've got strands that are the right. Oh, there's cotton in there. Doesn't need to be in that. Some of this might be on the long side, but I think it'll be okay. Starting to get little neps in there. I probably have pieces that are a little too short. I think some of these strands might be too long. A lot of this for me is trial and error. For some reason, that pink yarn is spun kind of tight and doesn't really want to open up. That's what happened before when I used it. Probably because the acrylic yarn you're breaking down is already a bunch of different fibers put together and you're taking apart. Yep. Yep, that's probably that too. But that's all right. That's just part of the process. And when I do spin this, it's not going to be a perfect yarn. I'm not going for perfection. I'm trying just to do the technique, to learn the technique of the spinning. Because if the bobbin that I've already spun a while ago, there are some thick areas and some thin areas. And I've heard that that's just going to come with practice. You'll get your, it'll be more even the more you do it. And it's been months since I've broke that out, and I need to do that sometime soon. Really opening it up now. And again, with carding, you're not aligning the fibers, you're opening them up. If you want them aligned, you would use wool combs. But that makes for a worsted weight, tends to be a worsted weight spin, a worsted spin, not a worsted weight, worsted spin. Doing the cards is more for a woolen spin. It just has to do with how lofty the fibers are spun together. With a woolen spin, they're going to have more air in it. And my arm's getting tired. I'm digging too much in there. Pull some of these out and actually get it into the card. All right, lady, that's fine. Hope you find your hook. My hands are okay. It's my shoulders. It's from leveraging this big, huge blanket and then also doing the carding. And you can see how long the fibers are. That's the staple length. Now, that with acrylic, it's because that's how long I cut it. If it was wool, it's how long it was grown from the animal. And that wool, different breeds, if it was wool, different breeds have different lengths of the fibers. And we're going to have another ad. And when we come back from the ad, I think we're going to have our closing little bit. We'll probably end up ending the stream, and we might see if we can find somebody to raid. So I will be back right after these messages. Alrighty, welcome back, everybody. And thank you for. Oh, you got fuzz flying in my face. That's what happens when you work with fibers. Um, Thank you for sitting through that ad break. I appreciate it. I think we're gonna call it a night here tonight. Very warm, and my shoulders are achy. So we did a little bit of temperature blanket, a little bit of carding. Let me move these little scraps out of the way. I will be on Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, for our continuation of Granny Month and our squares. We're doing what I'm calling just the plain butterfly granny. This is by, if anybody wants to look ahead, let me find my, let me see who this is by. Is that Crochet Millie? I think it's Crochet Millie. I don't want it to play. Yes. This is the Crochet Butterfly Granny Square by the YouTube channel Crochet Millie, M-I-L-I. There's no, on her video, or their video, there is no spoken instructions, but there are written instructions on the screen. So it's a simple 3-dimensional butterfly. This definitely needs to be blocked because the shape of the butterfly is pulling in the centers a little bit. I tried to stretch it as much. It really needs to be blocked. My sample, I don't like the pink. I should have used a different color, but I wanted something to contrast. We'll be using different colors on Tuesday night stream for this. So that is what we will do on Tuesday. I don't think there's anybody that we're going to raid tonight. So everybody, thank you very much for tuning into the stream. And anybody who shared their whips and foes in the Discord, really beautiful creations that everybody's working on or has made. So everybody have a good evening. I will see you on Tuesday. And happy crafting.